Hello, welcome to Yin Yoga. My name is Julie and I will be your guide today. We have a special flow today concentrating on the liver and gallbladder meridians. Let's go ahead and get started. This will just be a nice short practice, a 30-minute practice so you can fit it into your day. We're going to start in just a nice gentle seated position. And find a little bit of meditation, just a little bit of something to bring us into the space. Go ahead and blink your eyes closed. And just notice your breath. The inhales fill our lungs, and the exhales release. Just taking a moment to meditate on the beauty of the power of the breath. As we inhale, we invite in rich, new oxygen. And as we exhale, we have the opportunity to just release it all with each breath. Two or three more breaths here. Go ahead and blink your eyes open, and we're going to come into a bridge pose. If it feels nice to have just a low blanket beneath your head, that's totally fine. I'll go ahead and move my bolster out of the way so you can see what that looks like. We're going to come down to bridge pose, and you have the option to take that as a supported pose or not, and I'll show you what both of those options look like. I'm going to bend both of my knees. So my knees are pointing up toward the ceiling. The soles of my feet are connected to the ground, and I will release down to the mat. And to begin with, to come into my bridge pose, I'm going to just push through those legs, the powerful legs through the heels. Notice the connection with the mat. And we'll just lightly engage the glutes, but the work is being done in the legs. And if a more supported feel is what you're going for today, you have the option to take a block and just rest on that block. And on your next exhale, we'll go ahead and just release down out of our bridge. Bring those knees together, feet are wide, feet are connected with the mat, and just spend a short moment in constructive rest. That's really nice. We're going to come in next to swan pose. And if you find that you have any knee issues in this pose, we have a couple of options here, and I'll show you those as we go along. And so let's go ahead and come into our swan pose. I'm going to flip back around to the side of my mat and actually move my blanket. In my hands, I'm going to tuck under. I'm going to meet just in an all fours position here. And I'm going to extend that right leg long. And I'm going to bring that knee up toward the right wrist. And then I will extend the left leg long. And we have several options here. We can stay up for a little more active or yang-like practice. Otherwise, we can release down to our forearms or to a prop. And we can actually go ahead and pad the back of our knee. If you have recently had any kind of knee surgery or replacement, padding the back of that knee will just allow us to protect that knee a little bit. If the knee is on the other side that you are having any issues with, you can bend the foot to also protect that knee. And we'll keep the front foot flexed, and that'll also provide just an extra comfort and measure of protection for that knee. Alternatively, if neither of these options work for you, we can do just a seated eye of the needle pose. So if you're happy where you are in your swan position, go ahead and stay there. If not, you can bring your hands back behind your glutes, and we can just cross the right leg over the left, and we'll hang out in either an upward pose such as this, or we can go ahead and release down. Wherever you are, let's go ahead and release out, and we'll come into our sleeping swan or eye of the needle on the other side. I like to come at this from all fours position. You might choose otherwise. We'll extend the left leg long here again, same thing as the other side basically. And we'll bring that left knee up toward the left wrist. And we'll extend that right leg long. And again, just take a moment, breathe. And that feels good. We'll exhale and release down to our mat. Keeping in mind, if we need those extra protections for our knee, that we can bend the front foot or the back foot, depending on what your needs are. And if you have had a total knee replacement, then I would recommend coming up to the seated position. We're just going to protect that leg just a little bit more. So we bring the left leg over the right. Really nice, everybody. And wherever you are, let's go ahead and find our back again, and we're going to come into windshield wiper pose. We'll just be here for a couple of breaths. Really nice. Let's go ahead and come up to a nice easy seat and coming into dragon pose. And this is a nice working out for our inner seam of our legs, for the inner groin area, and getting into our liver meridian. So again, I like to come into all fours to begin with. And I'm going to extend that right leg long and bring it to the front. My hands can be inside my foot. Just a moment for our baby dragon here. And then go ahead and find your blocks coming into high flying dragon. And we'll bring ourselves up onto the blocks. Keep those hips forward. And then exhale, let's go ahead and release out of that. And go ahead and find your blanket. And we'll have that handy for our back knee this time. You're always welcome to have a blanket under any joints that would feel better supported or cushioned by that. Coming into our dragon on the left side. So meeting again in all fours, we'll extend that left leg long. And then we'll bring that left leg forward and kind of settle into our dragon position. The left leg is a little wider out to the side. We keep our hips a little bit forward. That keeps the stress in our hips where we want it to be. We want to keep pressure out of those knee joints, especially if you've had an injury or replacement. I'm going to come into my high flying dragon. So I'll come up on my blocks. It can be either to the inside or to the outside. Again, I'm going to keep my hips forward. And we'll exhale, release out of that dragon, toes together, knees wide, and we're just going to come into a brief child's pose. Next inhale, let's find the down dog, and we're just going to stretch it out here for a moment. So tuck your toes. We'll inhale up from our child's pose. Tuck your toes, send your hips high to the sky, and find a brief downward dog. You can bend those knees and alternatively walk them out a little bit. Find a moment of stillness. And then we're going to exhale, coming down to the ground for half saddle. We're going to come down, so our hips will come to our heels. Adjust the output a little bit. Hips are going to come to our heels. And if you'd like, if it feels better to sit on cushions or on a block, that might be more protective for your knee, that you're totally welcome to do that. And I'm going to extend my left leg long and keep my right leg tucked in beside me. Again, We have the option to be up on a block or on a cushion. And I release back. Coming down to the forearms, if that's available to me. And all the way down to the mat, if that's available to me as well. You pick your option. Stay where you are. Honor your body. If you've released all the way down to the mat, we'll go ahead and gently come up the way we came in. Got my curtains on me. And then we'll bring that right leg forward. And we're going to release back down to the ground for just a little windshield wiper between sides here. Both knees to one side. And then the other. On your next inhale, we will rise back up and get set up for our half saddle on the left side. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring my left leg back to meet my glute on the left side. My right leg will stay strong. And we'll exhale down. Again, yogi's choice. Remembering your breath. Really nice. And just go ahead and bring the soles of the feet to the mat. And this time we're going to bring the knees together and just find a moment of stillness in a constructive rest. Really nice. Just another breath there. We'll go ahead and rise up to a seat and find your blanket, and we'll go ahead and just fold that up a little bit. We don't need it to be terribly thick, but just enough to give us a little bit of a cushion here. I'm going to unfold mine a little bit more. And you want to find a seat so that our glutes are kind of on the front side of that blanket. So the blanket's going to be kind of I'm going to be half on and half off the blanket. I'll scoot back just a little bit so you can see me fully. But when I'm on that blanket, I'm going to be half on and half off the blanket. Keep that the pelvis tilted forward. And coming into just a one leg seated stretch, we'll bring the left leg in to meet the right. And my right leg is going to be outstretched. And then I'll place my bolster on my leg. I'm just going to reach down toward my toes. If I want to rest my head, I can bend the elbow and just rest the head in my right hand. I'm going to inhale, back up. We'll switch legs, find the opposite side. So my left leg will be extended, my right foot in. And then I'll rest my left hand, my arm down that bolster. And you can choose to remain a little bit more upright. I might find that gives me access to that sensation on the inner seam of my leg a little bit easier. If you'd like a supported posture, the head can rest in the left hand. And then we'll inhale, gently rise up. I can use my left hand to kind of help my head rise up so I don't put any undue pressure on my neck. And let's bring those hands back to meet our glutes. Our soles of our feet are going to be on the mat, and we'll just find a little bit of windshield wiper from an upright seated position. Windshield wiper is so nice to visit because it gets into our outer hip, gets into our inner thigh, finding that gallbladder meridian. And I'll find stillness. And we're going to release down to our mat. I'm going to move my blanket out of the way. We'll release down to the mat, and you can use the blanket as a pillow or not, totally up to you. And we'll come into a reclined shoelace pose. And this is so nice to get into those gallbladder and liver meridians. We'll inhale that right leg straight up in the sky, and then just exhale, cross it over toward the left hip. And then we'll bring that right foot toward, the left foot toward the right hip. And I like to take just a gentle hold of my legs, and I do that above my ankle joint. So I protect that ankle joint, so I'm kind of supporting in my shin area more than my ankle. Getting into that psoas so nicely. The more work we do to open and find flexibility in our hips, the more we can protect our knees. Really nice. Let's go ahead and exhale, release that left foot down, right foot down, knees are bent, and just over to one side. We'll kind of do a slow motion windshield wiper. Release the legs over to the right side, and then over to the left side. Couple more times just like that. Alright, and let's go ahead and do our reclined shoelace on the opposite side. So this time we'll cross the left leg over the right. And my right hand's gonna connect with that left leg, and then my left leg will connect with, my right leg will connect with my left hand. Shoelace pose is also an amazing crossbody pose. It means when we're moving body parts to the opposite side of the body, it requires our brain to do a lot more work. Keeps us sharp and connects different pathways. If you're in shoelace on either side and you find that it's not agreeable to you, especially in the knees, you're welcome to take a reclined figure 4. So I would have, in this case, my right leg would be connected across my left thigh, and I could reach through with my hands and just support my left leg, maybe bring it a little closer. And we get into that outer hip in just about the same way. So whatever pose and option you choose. We'll be here for just another minute. Okay, we'll go ahead and release down. And again, let's do those slow motion windshield wipers again. So both legs over to the left side to begin with. If it feels good to support, keep that right shoulder toward the mat, and we extend the right arm out. One more time. Really nice. And I invite you just to bring your legs to the center, feet wide out to the side of the mat, knees come together to rest. And you're welcome to either stay here in constructive rest, or if you'd like to find a different version of your resting pose, you can take that at this time. On your next inhale, we'll rise up to a nice easy seat and close out our class with just a couple of breaths together. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale down. Inhale overhead one more time. Exhaling, hands down through heart center. The light and love in me honors the light and love in you. Thank you for sharing your time and your practice. Namaste.